Uh-oh.
What's going on?
Uh-oh.
Hi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. What's going on?
Uh-oh.
Hi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. What's going on?
Hey, Robin. Uh-oh.
Hi,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
And then I'll still be able to present my screen. Okay, thanks.
What's going
Hey, Robin.
on? Hi,
Hello?
Are we waiting right
Can
till
you hear me?
7:30 to start, or
Yes.
starting any earlier? Or
No.
should we?
Yeah, we'll wait till 7:30.
Okay.
Robin's posting the, and then I'll still be able to present my screen. Okay, thanks. No, do you want to just join regularly? Hey, Robin.
hi,
Hello?
Are we waiting right
Can
till
you hear me?
7:30 to start, or
Yes.
starting any earlier? Or
No.
should we?
Hmm?
Robin, can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. I think I had my mic off.
The one on the website has like different features.
There's no way to do it.
Yeah.
I know, I asked Robin about that.
So I just sent another one if you wanted to replace it.
Well, yeah, that's what I put on there,
Yeah,
and
I
there's no way to turn them.
Yeah, I know. So the one I sent you is all in alignment now. You wanted to replace it. It's
How
up
did
to
you
you.
do that?
It was just,
It was the real PDF.
Oh, okay, because I did it two different ways. So I did minor and I did the one.
Get out.
Uh-oh. Is that coughing?
It was me.
Oh, dear Lord.
I don't have it. I've already had it.
Yeah.
Nicole sounds like she's got a cold.
It's my allergies, but I got new Zyrtec and Flonase today, but I didn't want to take it before the meeting in case it made me kind of loopy.
That could have been fun.
So
I won't judge.
yeah, before they gave me the new medication, I got the 3rd degree 3 times. Are you sure you don't have a fever? Are you sure you don't have a? I'm like, no.
How's everybody's kids doing with the closure? Working from home and everybody bored yet? Everybody's got to be bored, right?
Yes.
Wow.
By
My
now.
son doesn't like that.
I'm working.
Either.
I'm busy.
Sure. We have
Brandon hasn't been doing his regular schoolwork, but he's been getting a lot of the stuff he gets is review and the same as what he had before. So he's like, Mom, it's the same stuff. So I upped the game and got a hold of some of my teacher forms and found, got to the next chapter. So we're teaching him new stuff. I don't know if he likes it or not, but it is what it is. I'm learning Common Core. He's learning both ways, the old school and the new way.
PJ's learning old school.
Thank the Lord for YouTube. That's all I got to say. Some good stuff on there.
All right. Looks like we have 10 people. Got about another minute.
Yep. And we're just waiting for Joy and Jay.
Hey, Nicole, just so you know, every time we sniffle, it's like on megaphone.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want you to know we can hear it. I would want to know.
So I should probably mute myself if they want to talk.
You. Sorry. I would want to know. I would want to know.
It's driving me crazy. My eyes are going crazy, but I wasn't sure about what it was going to do to me today. They said, well, just drive right after. I'm like, well, I'm not driving anywhere, but.
I tune it out. Used to it.
All right. Jay's on the line. And Brian, who else are we waiting for besides
We're just waiting for Joy.
Joy? Okay.
Ashley, did you see my text about the motion of executive session?
Yes. I had after some people left. We had Glenn second, so now I'm like, okay, do I use Jay? Do I use Glenn? Who do I use? But, yeah.
I don't care. All of a sudden, like, we didn't go out, so.
I put me down as making a motion to start and me seconding because I don't know that we had a second to start. I mean, I don't know. But
Cool.
there's Joy.
Hello.
Hello, Joy.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, good. Okay, I did it right this time. Thanks.
All right, it's 7:30, so motion to start the meeting. And we'll begin with the pledge to the flag. I think it's always pledge to allegiance.
Want to start us off, Ashley?
Yep. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation,
One nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay, roll call today. Now I can only see 4 people on my screen, so let me know if I'm leaving anyone out. We have Glenn Bobek, trustee. We have Nicole Novak, trustee. Jay Grover, trustee. Dr. Brian Graham, superintendent. Jude Kuhn, our district clerk. We have Ashley Dreyer, myself, president. Sue Marston, vice president. Robin McCreary, trustee, Joy Lamarca, trustee, Karen Cuddy Miller, assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. We have with us Dr. Ruby Harris, assistant superintendent for business and finance. And we also have Cheryl Cardone, assistant superintendent for people personnel services. So I guess I don't have to make announcements about emergency exits today. I was almost about to do that, but we don't need that today. So announcements I got for the people on the meeting is to silence your cell phones, please, so that it doesn't disrupt the meeting. And if I could have an approval of the agenda for today, April 6, 2020, please.
I'll motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And moving on to approval of the amendments from March 23rd, 2020. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll motion.
And the second?
I'll second.
Julie seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. And we have some correspondence, recognition, and good news, recognizing our school lunch staff and our technology department for Chromebook distribution. Dr. Graham, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, in my superintendent report, I'll have quite a bit of information to share, and thanks and recognition for all of our faculty and staff. So thank you, Ashley.
Yep. Okay. So can we move, we're moving ahead right now then with the public comment session, agenda items only. We do not have anyone for that. Curriculum and instruction with Karen Cuddy Miller.
Thank you so very much. I'd just like to update the Board of Education with regard to our UPK lottery program. We typically are engaged in registration of parents for eligible students at this time via the district offices. However, given the COVID-19 crisis, we've decided to try and realign our approach so that parents are not at a loss and we are out of our ability to work with brick and mortar access. So we have updated, and I was able to confirm that today, updated our website with an online opportunity to apply for the UPK lottery application. And we have added a notification of that to the notices when somebody logs into the website. The contingent piece is we are attempting to move forward to the best of our ability. In the past, students have already had to submit the documentation for eligibility, which includes residency proof as well as the certificates before they were able to get a lottery ticket. At this point, we are going to allow anybody who is eligible to apply online for the lottery. We will move forward with those applications. However, before anyone is placed, we will have to ensure that they truly did meet all of the eligibility requirements for residency and age. But we are unable to ask parents to do that until we return to brick and mortar access because we do require an authentic first birth certificate. We can't accept a copy. So we recognize that if we were to delay this process, it would be an additional stressor for parents. We're trying to reduce that stress. Currently, our lottery poll date is May 19th. However, we are cognizant that given the changes in the world today, either the venue, the process, the approach, or the date may change depending upon what to move forward in the next several weeks. So that was just a quick update for all of you.
Great.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to personnel instructional. We have one appointment. If I could have a motion to approve instructional PI1, please.
I'll motion.
And the second.
I can second.
Thanks, Joy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0.
Ashley,
Yes,
I think Robin's having difficulty connecting with her microphone. If it's okay with the
Okay.
board, I can call her phone, and so that way she can vote. We can see her vote. Is that okay?
oh, yeah.
All right, let me just do that real quick.
Was she in on the last vote? Because then it would be 6-0.
Okay.
Let me just do their call real
Do we
quick.
want to redo that one? What you're saying?
No,
Do you want
just leave it 6-0.
6-0? Okay.
Give me 1 sec. I'll give her a call.
All right, there we go. I can hear everybody.
I'm going to pass my phone over to Jude so that she can hear your votes, Robin, okay? All right, perfect. Thank you.
Brian.
Okay, we're all set, Ashley.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on to personnel non-instructional. We have some action items. If I could have a motion to approve non-instructional PNI 1, 2, and PNI 2, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Glenn. And a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Sue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0. Okay, and moving ahead to finance, do we want to have the budget presentation first? Brian? Secretary?
Well, Ruby, maybe we can go over the items that aren't the budget presentation, if there's action items.
Sure, there's 2 action items, A and B. Looks like.
Yep. Ruby
Can
will-
everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I don't like hearing myself with Brian. So we have a donation for the NFL Foundation grant. This is the second year we were awarded this grant. And from what we are hearing, there is a possibility of a third year of this grant being awarded as well. This is going directly to the football program. And last year they were able to purchase some blocking, sleds, tackling, and ground bags. So we are definitely appreciative of that. I know people can't wait to come back just to spend the money. So, or they're sending emails of, can we do this now? The other item that I have on here is budget transfers over 15,000. You will see flipping. There is a transfer for payroll adjustments, just people money being shifted into the correct salary code, so from one salary code to another. And then there is also the 403B retirement payment that occurred a couple of weeks ago. So that's just making sure the account codes are funded properly. So that went from one 403B code to another one.
Okay, if I could have a motion to approve finance A and B, please.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Thanks, Nicole. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
D on here is just informational. It is the budget transfer under 15,000, as well as some budget status graphics that provide some of the charts and pictures that were asked for, as well as the dollar amounts there. And that's as of January 31st, 2020. And those also will also go under the business part of the website. So the public will be able to find them quickly in the future.
Great.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, I think we're going to begin the budget presentation. So thank you very much. I'm just going to share that presentation on my screen. Just give me a second. Can you see the budget presentation on your screens?
Yep.
It's starting
All right. Well, thank you very
now,
much.
Brian says.
Ruby's it look on your screen?
Yep.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to begin by thanking the Board of Education, our administrators and supervisors for working together each time as we present this draft presentation of our budget. As everybody is aware, we have talked at great length about our mission and the budget goals, but I do want to speak about those budget goals one more time. As we build a budget each year, we're developing a long-term sustainable budget designed to provide the best diversified education program for all of our students. Our goals are always to retain all the community mandated student programs and activities, and to the best of our ability, always to protect the fund balance. Today we have several agenda items, and we're going to begin with revenue updates from Dr. Harris.
So I wanted to provide some of the changes that are happening with the state aid proposals. I'm sure that you all watch Governor Cuomo speak daily, if you can. But some of the things that are directly impacting school districts is the fact that they are freezing foundation aid at the 2019-2020 dollar amount. So all school districts that had any type of foundation aid increase, that has now been taken out of the budget for the 2020-21 school year. The governor is also expressing that he is going to do quarterly reviews to see where the state is in revenue receipts, and dependent on how it performs, he can do quarterly reductions. The first review is actually April 30th, and then everything thereafter will be looked at in quarters. What that looks like for school districts, we are not really sure. We have heard that everybody would be impacted by the reductions, but the actual dollar amount that we would be looking at is unknown at this current time. So I guess after April 30th, I will be trying to provide you with any additional information that is provided to us. Another thing that is being updated continuously is sales tax. There is a possibility of anywhere between 10% to 50% of a reduction in the last quarter payment for the 2019-2020 school year. So we've received a little bit more than half of what we anticipated thus far in sales tax. We are just staying in direct communication with the county as they learn more information, we're learning more. For the 2020-21 school year, I did keep this line steady. And one of the biggest reasons for that is usually we receive more than what we budget for in sales tax. So I felt comfortable doing that. And you'll see that on a future slide. In reference to fund balance, we have frozen all spending unless something is deemed as necessary or there is a contractual obligation. As of current, we still have to pay for different providers beyond just our staff. So if we have students at out-of-district placements, the way the agreements are read to be is we still are obligated to make those payments. We are making those payments, but everything is being reviewed piece by piece before we are writing any checks and sending them out. So everything is frozen. And then in the 2021 year, it should say in the event that state aid decreases, we would have to utilize reserves and fund balance to make up the difference. And this is not a Grand Island thing. This is across New York State, and I'm sure across many states, that they will be looking at the usage of reserves and fund balance, because you're not going to find out the changes until you're already into the next budget year.
All right, thank you, Ruby. The next slide, I think, is yours.
This here just shows that the foundation aid amount has been removed, and it's showing that it has to be frozen at the 2019-2020 school year. The rest of this shows the fact that they have selected not to collapse the different aid categories. So you will now see BOCES aid is in the BOCES aid category and all the other ones as well. Is it still? Yeah. Okay. This next slide here, the reason why this is here is really to talk a little bit about the federal care restoration and what is happening in regards to state aid. So in the newest state aid run, there is a pandemic adjustment that subtracts out a dollar amount, which is $433,000. And then the federal care restoration is going to replenish that. So the state has already made cuts to school districts and is now saying the federal care restoration will replenish that. So you're really just made whole. The issue that I foresee with this is there's still the possibility that when he does his quarterly reviews that our state aid will decrease. There are some stipulations in place in reference to the federal care restoration and states and districts receiving that money in reference to how much of a decrease he can do. So I'm just hoping that he's being mindful as he's making his adjustments so we're not impacted even greater than before. Another thing you will see is in lieu of taxes, there is a reduction there, and that is because we have some pilots that fell off that now go onto the tax roll, which means I will not get a pilot payment, but it will be accounted for in the property tax levy. So there's an adjustment there. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Ruby. Right now, I'd like to just share with the board and the community what we are projecting for enrollment for next year. Just to reiterate, you've seen slides like this before. These 3 columns represent Sidway, these 3 columns represent Youth, and these 3 columns represent Kegabyne. So this is a projected enrollment starting in September, and you're going to see that we're projecting at least 220 kindergartners coming into Sidway, and this number 223 represents first graders. Obviously, these are the students that are currently in kindergarten. And remember, in first grade, we have about 180 students, and those students will, starting in September, go to Youth and go to Kegabyne. And they're represented where my cursor is. The 84 students in this line represent second grade for Youth, and the 95 students at Kegabyne represent second grade for Kegabyne. So when we look at this chart and we look at Sidway, we're predicting that there'll be about 220 students enrolling in kindergarten, and we would like to recommend 11 teachers for the kindergarten classes, which gives us a class size of 20. The same is true for our first graders with 11 teachers, class size of 20. The board will recall that this year we have 20 teachers shared amongst kindergarten and first grade, and this projection is recommending 22 teachers, keeping class sizes at 20 for next year. As we look at Youth and Kegabyne, this row represents second grade, this row represents third grade, this row, of course, is fourth grade, and this row is fifth grade. So when you're looking at this chart, keep in mind that this year there are 18 teachers at Youth and 18 teachers at Kegabyne. This chart, though, shows that 84 students will be going to second grade, shared amongst 4 teachers with an average class size of 21, and 95 at Kegabyne, shared amongst 5 teachers, and the class sizes of 19. For third grade, we're predicting 111 students, shared amongst 5 teachers, class size of 22, and 95 again at third grade for Kegabyne, 4 teachers, class sizes of 23 to 24. The fourth grade, 94 students shared amongst 4 teachers, class sizes of 23. And at Kegabyne for fourth grade, 84 students, 4 teachers, class size of 21. And at fifth grade, 100 students, 4 teachers, class size of 25. 96 for Kegabyne, 4 teachers, and class size of 24. So this year, the average class size is higher at Youth than it is projected to be next year, with the average class size with 17 teachers at around 23 students a class. And for Kegabyne, the average stays about the same at 21.7 or 22. Does anybody have any questions about this slide? Okay, thank you. Moving ahead, this gives you more of a macro view of enrollment K to 5 this year. 1,214 students shared amongst 56 teachers with the average class size of 21.6. Projected enrollment K to 5, 1,202, a slight decrease, shared amongst 56 teachers with an average class size of 21.4. When we look at the current enrollment at 6th grade, we have 202 students shared amongst 9 teachers and an average class size of 22. And next year, we're recommending 10 teachers at 6th grade with 246 students. Remember, our current 5th grade classes are big, and those kids will be transitioning to 6th grade next year. If we add a teacher, class sizes will be about 24 or 25. We believe that through this budget presentation, the vacancies at Sidway and the vacancies at the Veronica Connor Middle School in grade 6 can be all accomplished with internal moves, either from Huth or Kegabyne, or moving the current position that is encumbered by somebody who is an instructional coach 0.6 of her day and 0.4 teaching computer skills in 3rd grade. It would be our recommendation to have that teacher fill one of these vacancies, whether it's at Sidway or at the Veronica Connor Middle School. So as we move forward, this year we have 1,416 students, and these are students that are not self-contained in grades K through 6, shared among 65 teachers with an average class size of 21.7. You're going to see the number jump to 1,448. You're going to see the recommendation going from 65 to 66 teachers, but the average class size just at 22, where it was at 21.7. It's at 22 going to. When we look at the middle school and high school enrollment, the current enrollment, we have 655 middle schoolers and 946 high schoolers. When we look ahead to next year, the number jumps up at the middle school to 671 and stays just about the same at the high school. Remember the last time we met, we talked about retirements. We have a retirement with an elementary principal that we intend to replace. And it's our recommendation to replace the band director, the Spanish teacher, the physics teacher, the special education teacher, the CTE teacher, and the elementary music teacher. But we are also recommending not replacing the reading teaching position. It's our recommendation that in September, we have 3 reading teachers at Huth and Kegabyne, and that we move a full-time reading teaching assistant that's currently at Huth and use that support over at Kegabyne. So starting in September, we would start the year with 3 reading teachers at Huth and Kegabyne, 1 reading teaching assistant at Kegabyne, and both buildings also have math academic intervention teacher, both at Huth and Kegabyne. Okay, Ruby? Oh, before I pass it over to Ruby, any questions?
So a lot of work since the last presentation, collaboratively with all of the different administrators and people who have anything really to do with the budget development process. So currently you will see a budget gap of $528,790. This looks different. I believe the last presentation, the budget gap was 1.3 million. We still have a little ways to go, but this is where we're at right now. So I'm going to walk us through the areas of expenditures. Okay, so what you will see here is you will see the salaries, which are funnel in all of the contractual obligations. You will see some changes in benefits. That is now 7.14%. That was higher prior in the past presentation. Probably the first presentation was way higher. You will see that there is actually a reduction now in BOCES. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through some future slides. And there has also been a reduction in the special education tuition, just through me and Cheryl sitting down and doing projections for the 2020-21 school year. Also making sure we swap for possible increases. We felt comfortable doing a slight reduction there to assist in the budget. This goes a little bit more detail to show what has been reduced since the last meeting. A couple of things that I want to point out is the BOCES area. Again, you will see that there was the removal of itinerant hearing from BOCES services. And there on a future slide, you will see the request to bring that person in-house in comparison to what the actual cost is for per BOCES versus us having our own person. You will also see the special education amount there again.
Oh, yep.
It's okay. And another area where you will see a hefty reduction is in central administration. There were multiple contractual areas within the 05 location code, which is really the business office code, to assist with closing the gap as well as assist in covering BOCES timepiece. So that way we don't have to increase the budget, but we are able to move forward with the plan, with the time clock, at least in transportation and the spreading that out. That made sense as a decision because timepiece is going to be a one-time large component of the budget. It's about $44,000. So that is a one-time spend. And then after it's about $8,000 for the upkeep through BOCES. So by going through a contractual line, I am able to easily control the spending that I know happens throughout my department. And then the following year we will review and that money can be replenished. Any questions in this area?
Okay, thank you, Ruby. So for board members and others who have seen this presentation, you're going to see a lot of the current year requests that were shared with us for consideration in the budget have really zeroed out in many ways. You're going to see that many of these X's in the column of 2021 and beyond are indicating that we're considering those things in the future, but not for the next school year. The only thing right now that continues to remain is the request for a full-time equivalent special education teacher at the high school. Mr. Loria and Cheryl Cardone are working very closely together to look over the names of the students and their needs and do the best that we can to provide for those needs. We will have an update for everyone. You're also going to see the 6th grade teacher request is it's our recommendation to handle that internally, so it wouldn't be an additional add to the budget. You're going to see the request for the teaching assistant, the teacher aide, and the 0.5 counselor either handled internally or through grant funding, through grants that are controlled or overseen by Cheryl Cardone. You're going to see the requests for Sidway teachers are going to be handled internally. Any questions about this slide? The next slide will show you that these requests again are kind of zeroed out and moved to the future. We shared with the board at the last budget presentation that we have 2 full-time equivalent positions in the district that are split in a very odd way. One full-time equivalent personnel is 0.6 special ed teacher, 0.4 special education teaching assistant, and then the other person is the exact opposite, 0.4 special ed and 0.6 teaching assistant. Cheryl is looking at combining those two to make them 2 full-time equivalents, 1 special ed teacher and 1 teaching assistant, and any additional funding for that could be covered as she's recommending in her grant. Also, the Eco Island stipend is still here, but we will make updates in the next budget presentation. And I'm going to pass the baton over to Cheryl Cardone. Although Ruby talked about it, Cheryl, I'd like you to share with the board the reason why it's recommended to hire a full-time equivalent itinerant hearing teacher for Grand Island, and how that is not an additional stressor on the budget, but it's a deduction from the BOCES budget. So Cheryl, can you join us, please?
I will. Hello, everyone. It's nice to see everybody here tonight, and that it looks like everybody's well. So I'm very happy to see that. With the hearing teacher, for years, we have hired a itinerant hearing teacher that does services for our children that are either deaf or hard of hearing. And at this point in time, I did look to see how many sessions that teacher is seeing our students. And as of right now, we could actually hire our own itinerant hearing teacher to pick up those sessions. She also does some consultation for our hearing students as well. Again, this 1.0 FTE would be able to cover those hearing services for all of our kids K to 12. When Ruby and I sat down and talked, it's about a $200,000 cost at BOCES from that line. If we do hire our own, as you can see, there's about $130,000 worth of savings from this BOCES budget. So we feel that it's a really wise move at this point to investigate that as well. Part of it is that we're going to look at, if the board approves this position, that the hearing teacher also have special education certifications, so that they have a dual certification, which in my research, I have seen that most hearing teachers do have another certification area, so that as our hearing services ebb and flow, this hearing teacher would be able to maybe pick up some special education services as well, in case our hearing services do decrease in the future.
Hey, Cheryl, could you also explain just briefly, last year, the district made a recommendation to hire a teacher for students who need English as a new language. And previous to that, we were using BOCES personnel. And that also ended up being a savings, if I recall.
Absolutely. In fact, when I first got to Grand Island, there was only one teacher, an ENL teacher that was hired through the district. And over the course of the last 5 years, we've actually hired 2 at the district level. So again, we have saved a considerable amount of money, not only 3 years ago when we hired number 2, but then also last year too, when we needed that extra ENL teacher through BOCES. So little by little by little, we are decreasing our costs of FTE at the BOCES level, which then saves us money at the level to actually hire our own person.
And Cheryl, before we move on to the next slide, was this position aided or not aided?
According to my research, we are not allowed to aid FTE positions. We weren't allowed to aid at the ENL, and we're not allowed to aid the itinerant hearing teacher as well.
Okay, great. Any questions for Cheryl? Thank you, Cheryl.
Yep, thanks everyone.
Thank
So,
you.
Okay, so for the next slide, you'll see that a lot of the requests that were originally indicated for next year are moved to 2021 and beyond. Staying in this budget presentation is the screen on the stage of Kegabyne for the projection of PowerPoint slides and movies. That screen is kind of, it's in bad shape and it's falling apart and it cannot be repaired. So that item still remains in our budget presentation. The middle school laser engraver was taken care of, Ruby.
He's covering that through his equipment code. So he had money there. Instead of asking for increase, he's covering that through the equipment code budget line. We just wanted to show it here because it is going to be something that is purchased, but he's not asking for additional funds.
Okay, thank you. And as you can see, many of the items that were considered for September have been moved to the future for consideration. Everything from paving and requests for a laborer position and part-time cleaners. And it looks like the IT security cameras.
It is staying in there as a request, but the plan would be to review this throughout the year and see if there's funds available in current IT codes to purchase them. We don't want to stop the initiative of purchasing cameras as we can. So I want it to be shown that it's still at the forefront of IT's mind to continue forward with this, but it would have to be covered through supplies or equipment that is already budgeted for. It can't be an additional line item.
Ruby, can you speak to the transfer to food service?
Yes. So the transfer to food service is still on here because that has been
Ruby, can I interrupt for 1 second?
To cleaning up the negative fund balance there. So we just felt that it was very important to make sure that was included to carry forward with that plan. So you do see that there as a recommendation.
Okay. And in addition to what Ruby has shared, you'll see that the district's original request to hire another school resource officer, to add modified soccer, to add vape detectors, have all been moved to future consideration.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I'm just looking through. It seems like a few of us are having trouble with sound. It looks like Ashley is, and Joy is as well. So,
so they're having difficulty hearing me?
The volume went down. I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Like significantly went down.
and I guess it's saying it's the size of the ball or the group. But I just wanted to take a pause to see if we can get everybody to be able to hear and speak. So I apologize.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you alerted me. When I share my screen and this presentation, I cannot see what you all see on your screens with respect to the video. So Joy or Ashley, do you have any questions about any of the slides that we shared?
Well, I can't hear you, but I'm looking at the slides and I don't have any questions. I just can't really hear anything. The volume has almost completely cut out. Like it's really, really low. Like I'm literally holding the phone to my face.
Oh, okay.
I think maybe if we're
I'm
not.
going to try going out and coming
mute,
back in. I think that's what Ashley just did too.
Okay, yeah, I just did. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Are you? Okay, I'm going to try it.
Okay.
We'll wait for you.
Should I keep the beard or should I shave it off?
What does your wife say, Glenn?
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
The girls.
I would prefer you shave it, but I really shouldn't really have an opinion. But for the auditorium screen at Pegabine, have we looked to see if we can cover that with budget items? I mean, with budgeted funds already?
All right.
Yeah, good question. I know Ruby will work with Mrs. Haggerty to determine that.
I'm just thinking maybe we might be able to find that if there was like a furniture line or something.
Right.
Okay.
We might be able to find somewhere so we're not adding that. That's it.
Oh, my mic is working again.
Good. Joy, are you back?
Is that Robin?
Joy, are you back?
I don't see
I
her.
don't have Joy back, and Ashley doesn't seem like she's back.
I'm here.
Ashley might be back.
She's back. She's here. Yeah, we're down one person, so Joy must not be back.
And you can hear me again.
Okay. Thanks for your patience. Mark Gordon sent me a message saying that it sounds great on his computer. He can hear everybody, and it's
Right.
working well for the recording. So that's good news.
Okay, I hear everybody now.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Hi,
I hear
Joy.
everybody now. It was a hard time reading lips, let me tell you.
Karen,
Okay.
Karen Cuddy shared that there is a closed captioning button that also can be clicked. That I guess it uses some type of algorithm to try to guess what we're saying or hear. So that might be another tool for people watching in the community to turn on.
I used it for a while. It was quite amusing.
I'm sure. Joy, before we go on, did you have any questions that you had for us that we can address?
No, I was able to follow along. I didn't have any questions. I was reading the paperwork as you were going through. I just couldn't hear you going through it, but I was reviewing it and I don't have any questions yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So we just finished reviewing this slide and spoke about the screen and the engraver, and then we moved on to this slide and talked about moving everything to 2021 and beyond, except for the transfer to food service. And I guess we're ready to look at this.
Okay, so this slide takes into consideration 3 areas. One is without the request, so just rolling the final items into the 2020-21 budget. And then you have the orange, which is with the request, that totaled an additional $20,000 being added. And then the green is with request and review, which brings you up to a budget gap of $626,790. Clearly, we know that to push out a budget, it has to be 0. So we're still scrubbing and reviewing. I actually have some emails that will be pushed out to people tomorrow for areas that need to be reviewed or reduced, but that's where it currently stands. Are there any questions pertaining to this slide?
No.
This next slide here is the proposition. This is always Prop 2 for us. So this is for our bus and vehicle proposition for the 2020-21 school year. You will see here that there is a request for 3 65 passenger buses, 1 3/4 wheelchair bus, and 1 wheelchair van. When we did our first presentation in February, was it February? Oh, it seems so long ago. When we did our first presentation in February, there was a request for 7 bus type vehicles and 2 Ford F-350s, and then there was a delivery van. In March, that was reduced to 6 bus type vehicles and then the 2 Ford F-350s. Now we are coming back with a request for 5 wheelchair type vehicles and 2 Ford F-350s. We just think it's very difficult right now to push out a request to increase from where we were last year when it comes to the bus proposition and a bus replacement, when we do not know what's going to happen with the 2020-21 year aid. And that is going to impact what we end up paying in debt service. So we're trying to be very mindful and keep the status quo here. So some capital information on updates, and I'm sure Dr. Graham is going to do some additional updates on capital. The capital outlay $100,000 project is planned and included in the budget for the 2020-21 school year. The focus has not yet been determined. Once that has been determined, that will be shared out, as well as a plan for a couple of years when it comes to capital outlay. That way we can keep those rolling. We are still planning to utilize the funds towards our $24 million capital project. As we have expressed in the past, I always like to just provide an update so it's very transparent that those funds are still being tracked, and I will have an update on those funds when we hit year end and we're going through audit. And then I also mentioned that the work that is planned for summer of 2020. We are still moving forward with that. We are taking advice from legal, and they are guiding us on what is allowable and not allowable, or who is considered essential when it comes to capital project work. And I think Dr. Graham's going to go more into that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruby. And just for the board's understanding, Ruby and I met with Jeff Switek from Hudson and Russ, and we reviewed the capital project work that's projected to begin. We deemed all essential right now because it is directly related to the health, safety, and welfare of our students and our program, and that if we had any delay, we would have delays in starting the school year with respect to the new middle school entrance, the new high school entrance, and keeping everybody safe, and making sure that we can function and have our essential program continue starting in September. So we got some excellent legal advice from Hudson and Russ, and we were very appreciative of that.
Okay, so this is a capture again from the last budget presentation meeting. This just goes through the fund balance amounts as well as the draft budget and the changes from one school year to the next. So as the budget currently stands, it is a 2.31% increase budget to budget, and the property tax levy is a 2.26% increase. Some additional budget updates as things are constantly changing. At the next budget presentation meeting, which is April 21st, I believe, it is our hope to have a budget that the board will be able to adopt after we scrub for the next 2 weeks. There is a high possibility that that budget will need to use fund balance to cover the remaining gap. There are some areas for sure that I believe within the coming weeks can be reduced. I do not think that there is $500,000 that can be removed from the budget without impacting classrooms directly. So as I get that number amount of what I anticipate, how much fund balance would be needed to cover the gap, that will be shared very transparently, so there's no confusion with that. And then I will be looking to the board to provide guidance or take action. And another statement that I just wanted to make sure is very transparent and known is, since revenue is up in the air for next year, when we adopt a budget, that is the maximum allowed that we can spend. It does not mean we have to spend that amount. So I'm expressing here that we will be doing monthly reviews internally as well as with the Board of Education. So you will do that monthly to see how the budget is performing, to provide updates on what's happening per the governor's decision. And if we were in a situation where we are losing revenue, we will have to make adjustments and enact spending increases. Myself and Dr. Graham have already talked about this, and I told him how I will be looking at every single purchase that comes through, and we will also be reducing the amount of blanket purchase orders that we allow. Blankets allow you to encumber a sum of money and then continuously spend off of that purchase order. So we're going to limit those so we can literally look piece by piece at what's being purchased and keep a very tight grasp on the budget for next year. Some other things that are happening in reference to the budget is the board elections have been delayed until at least June 1st. We're not really sure if it's going to be like a June 2nd vote or if it's going to be the coming weeks thereafter. We're just waiting to receive guidance. There is no set deadline as of yet in reference to budget adoption or what that even looks like. We don't know if people are going to be coming into the buildings or if this will be absentee ballot. There has been a little bit of whispering that the hope is that they will provide the power to the Board of Education to do a vote and approve the budget. But as things come, we will keep you updated. And also it says here that we are just asking that Jude be allowed to change any legal notice information. We are really just on the fly as information is pushed out, but we still have to meet deadlines. So there is I believe a 45-day window that she has to make sure she's meeting, which is kind of hard to do when the target date is moving. So we're just asking that she be provided certain necessary areas to do that. Okay, this is just a simple calendar to show you kind of what is shifting, all based on date changes. You do see that this says June 2nd. This is a draft. Once I get a real copy of something, we will share that out. But this just shows you how that one change then changes when the budget notice needs to go, when the budget hearing needs to occur, when board budgets need to be made available. So there's so many things that are continuously moving. But this is just a little snapshot of what could be the first possible date of voting, and it could change again. This goes into the proposed tax rates. You will see that there has not been a change from last meeting to this meeting. We are within our tax cap. We are not exceeding the tax cap, which if the board had the power to approve the budget, I think will assist with that. I think there's a lot of questions with school districts. The board is voting to approve the budget. What happens if you compliant or you're asking to exceed the cap? But we are within all of our requirements there. So this looks the same as last time. And then lastly, this is just giving some updates and what is anticipated. So if the June 2nd date is the budget vote date, then our budget hearing would probably be the May 25th date. And I'm anticipating that we will have a budget for the board to say yes or no to on the 21st of April. Any questions?
Brian and Ruby, the other things that are going, the other votes that are going on are board member votes, collection of petitions and all that. Any word on any of that stuff that you can report?
Yep, just it's our understanding that the vote for board members would occur either on after June 1st. So Jude will send out any additional information with respect to petitions, but I think that all of that has been moved, the deadlines.
Yeah. Right. I will say that the question that you are asking are questions that we have been pushing out as well in reference to petitions being signed. What does this look like if it's pushed beyond the June date? And what are the allowables for school districts to continue forward if it goes beyond that? So any information I get, we will pass it along, but it's limited. They're flying by the seat of their pants.
And I think in your emails, go ahead, Glenn.
No, I expected the answer was that you guys didn't know.
Yeah.
So you confirmed that to me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then for our board members, pay attention, or I know you already pay attention to Dave Lowry, but he sends out updates a few times a week. So we'll keep an eye on that communication from the Erie County. So thank you very much. Once again, before I stop sharing the PowerPoint of our presentation, this is an opportunity to answer any questions. So thank you very much.
Say one thing.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to say,
yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to share that us business officials like superintendents have been meeting and chatting. We have as well. And one of the suggestions that is being pushed not only by business officials, but from discussions with the state is that if you are in a budget year where you can actually exceed your 4% unbalance, the thing that the auditor continues ding school districts for, we are being advised to do that to help support the future year budget. So I know that we have been doing a lot of discussions internally, as well as just as professionals and administrators on ways in which we're trying to do that through freezing the budget, and just being creative with services, those type of things right now. So when everything is said and done, if we are in a position where we can be over 4%, that would be the move we would do. And I'm going to assume that the state is going to stand behind that, since that's what they're telling us to try to do, because they are very unsure of what's going to happen with state aid.
Okay, thank you, Ruby. I think we're good now, Ashley.
Okay. Did we record a vote for items A and B, June? Did we record that vote for?
She's checking. She said yes. Yeah.
Yes, good. Okay. Special education pupil personnel services. Do we have anything?
Yes, we do. Yep, we did have action on the committee recommendations, please. And I'll just want to add a note that these are from the past, but as of April 20th, we are starting remote CSC and PSC meetings. So we are going forward with them remotely.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we have nothing under policy, so we're back to we're at our superintendent's report with Dr. Graham.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I just want to give the board and our community an update on what's happening with COVID-19 in Erie County. I'm sure everybody is tuned in to the press conferences, but just to give the board an update, there are 1,148 residents in Erie County with a confirmed diagnosis of COVID-19. Of the 1,148 residents, there are 912 active cases, and in Grand Island, there are 21 confirmed residents with COVID-19. Our governor announced today that schools will remain closed until April 29th. In fact, if schools were to resume, we would start on April 29th. That's just important information. Additionally, today, the Board of Regents announced that June Regents exams are canceled. The Board of Regents will offer guidance to all school districts tomorrow. As of this board meeting, we do not have the guidance and or other information that could impact our 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. So we're going to look very carefully at that guidance to try to understand if those students will be required to take Regents exams in August or next January. So although some people may be happy that Regents exams are canceled across New York State, stay tuned because there's more information coming tomorrow. I do want to also share under the topic of COVID-19 that our teachers and administrators are working exceptionally hard to make certain that we have a continuity of learning plan for every student. This past week, our amazing instructional technology team worked with our transportation department and our administrators to do everything from sanitize Chromebooks to make certain that Chromebooks are ready to be delivered to every 3rd, 4th, and 5th grader in the district. I would like to thank Josh Nichols, Don Booty, Sue Hall, Mark Gordon, Nicole Canarazzo, and Ben Lowe and Robin Kwiatek as well for all of their efforts and support in this unprecedented time. After sanitizing those devices, Max Bakula and Mary Haggerty and Robin Kwiatek all worked with Teresa Lizade to develop a delivery plan Our amazing bus drivers, attendants, and teachers and administrators delivered every Chromebook last Tuesday and Thursday to those children and their families. That's really remarkable, and I want to congratulate them for all of that work. The next big project is sending iPads home to second graders. The nice thing about our Board of Education working closely with our Director of Instructional Technology is that our Smart Schools Bond monies have been used for a one-to-one mobile device initiative. And I'm pretty proud to say that every second through 12th grader will have a mobile device at home so that they can interact in different ways with their teachers and their therapists and support staff. So this is pretty remarkable. And I would say we're doing a pretty good job with all of that. I mean, an exceptional job. So congratulations again to everybody who had the foresight for this one-to-one mobile initiative. Our food service staff have been absolutely spectacular. Tina Blanchard, Christine Holloman, Katie Pollack, Nicole Wilkins, Fran Fanara, Mason Aljadi, Tracy Sen, Cheryl Domowitz, Dan Coughlin, Sonia Little, Michael LaJoy, Ariel Fulbright, Mimi, Art Stokowski, and Judy Pryor, under the direction of Pat Smith, have honestly been spectacular. Our food service delivery team of volunteers have also been amazing. Jude Coleman, Steve Speck, Marty Allen, Brian Willits, Mary Jane Fonte, Sue Wolcott, Rob Hennessy, Cindy Booker, Carly Antonelli, Amy Stevenson, and Scott Perry have all been actively volunteering to deliver food to families on Grand Island. Our custodians, cleaners, building and grounds, and maintenance professionals have also been outstanding. Please join me in thanking Kevin Astridge, Robert D., Michael DeMartin, Keith Everett, Lisa Gallagher, Joseph Gaynor, Jim Gebline, Robert Harper, Jeffrey Kirsch, Thomas McMahon, Christopher Ausler, Robert Palmatier, Nicole Parvu, Daniel Pedlow, Scott Perry, John Pleasy, Raymond Romaluski, Ron Rose, Chris Kalanick, Colin Thompson, Richard Walworth, and Dennis Agoda have been doing exceptional work keeping our buildings clean and prepared for us as we come in. Many of us do still come in every day to do work, and they're there to support us and the students and families. Our district office clerks have been working around the clock, some at home, some here in the district office. I want to thank Patty and Debbie and Kathy, Julie, Lisa, Teresa, and Suzanne, Jill, Cheryl, Trish, Debbie, Kathy again, and Jude for that support. And finally, for our board, I would like us, when we think about providing our students with the continuity of learning during a pandemic, it's not just about coming back to school that becomes our primary concern, but it is how we move forward. It is about moving forward within a new teaching and learning environment that prepares our students for the world as it is and the world moving forward. I can tell you that I'm very, very impressed with our teachers and our administrators as they work collaboratively to reimagine teaching and learning during this pandemic emergency closure. So there is a lot of recognition that goes out to all of our faculty, staff, and administrators, and we're not finished yet. We still have to prepare for the fourth quarter and prepare to help kids get to graduation and to move on to their next grades. So there's a lot to celebrate there. So thank you for letting me share that report with you. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much.
Ashley?
Yes. Okay, we're moving on to the Board of Education report and the discussion of how we should go about a mid-year review of our goals or our goals, as well as any other goals we have as a board. Do we want to, I mean, we could do it via Zoom like we did our other session earlier. So we could do that via Zoom. We could send out a form for feedback via Google form. I could do that and put that together so that we've reviewed the goals and gotten everyone's input as to how we're doing on those goals, and possibly some superintendent's goals and our board goals as well. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on reviewing the goals prior to the end of the year, just to have a checkpoint of where we're at versus coming to the final point and not having checked to see how we're doing, what kind of feedback we get on those.
So as I was thinking a little bit about it, and we always do a board evaluation as well as the superintendent's evaluation. Do you think that's something we could incorporate the goals into that form we sent out last year for everybody to fill out, and then it would actually be a goals and board evaluation and wrap it all into one, so we're not doing two different exercises?
I mean, we could do it at the end like we always do it at the end, but.
Well, I was thinking we could do it. We could do it now instead of waiting until the end. We could begin to work on it, actually have time to review it, and maybe assess going forward, right? Instead of waiting till the end of May, we could kind of incorporate it and take the time, because sometimes it feels rushed at the end of each school year.
I agree.
So, I mean, we're already in April. We'd be looking to do it mid-May, June anyways. So maybe we just roll it all into one, and then we're all doing, an evaluation just once. And again, that's just my thought, because our evaluation is going to be coming up probably in the next few weeks anyways.
Well, we usually do it in June. In the past, we've opened them up in June and completed our evaluations in June. So I don't know if, now if we want to do that, fill it out and see if we want to make any adjustments, or just fill it out now and be done with it.
It was just a suggestion. I mean, like within a month's time, we're going to be looking at it. You know what I mean? And
well, I think it's more like
they're not completed either by the end of the year. So if it was all done at once, it might save some time and might actually give us a little bit more time to look at our self-evaluations.
Yeah. Well, if we started it now, we would have till June 30th. So we would have all of, the better part of April, 3 weeks of April, 4 weeks of May, and 4 weeks of June. So that would give us 11 or 12 weeks, about 11-ish weeks to do it if we opened it up right away. I mean, that's.
I don't know, just a suggestion.
If people wanted to just have a quick checkpoint of how we're doing on our goals versus evaluating them now and starting the paperwork, 3 months before the end date. I mean, usually we have till June 30th to complete it. So anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just feel like in years past, let me just real quick, we don't circle back and take a look at our evaluation. It's usually completed and done, and then we're sitting with a new board the last few years. So I just thought if we maybe started it earlier, we'd actually have time to come together as a group
and circle back.
Yeah, I think we should start it as soon as possible. I don't think that as much as we'd like to think that we're going to make great progress on our goals in the next few months, I think the biggest thing is just to try to keep things going, and that's going to be the focus of administration and the rest of us. So let's look at things sooner as opposed to later.
Yeah, and I like the idea of pushing out the form, actually. Let us reflect individually, and then we can come together in a format like this, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sum it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the Google Classroom or whatever. Yep.
Sure. Would the board want me to take the board goals and put it in our super eval system so that it's easy for the board to provide some kind of rating on those goals?
I think that would be great.
It's a good idea. Really good idea.
So I'll work on that tomorrow.
Brian, Brian, you don't have anything to do the rest of the night.
Yeah, good evening.
When do you all want to come together to circle back around? Do you want to decide on a date now for some type of format, whether it's a Zoom meeting or in person? That could be decided at a later date, depending on how things go with this current situation. Did you want to pick a date, however, to circle back around and make that our retreat to kind of look over how did we do and what do we want to do differently to make sure we, you know, are working toward those goals or revising the goals for next year as a board?
I mean, I think we could look at a date. I think maybe you and I could discuss a timeline.
Right.
And then put it out there, because I think people are going to need more, you know, I mean, I think if we laid it out, how long it takes to get it into the board superintendent evaluation or whatever, into that tool, give us enough time to look at it, enough time for you to put it together, and then maybe we could plan like a Zoom meeting either before or after one of our board meetings on a Monday night.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Although we do all have a lot of time.
Yeah, either do it in Zoom or in person, whatever the situation's calling for at the time. So we'll do that. We'll push that out to everyone, and then you can fill it out, give your comments and ratings, and then we'll come back together and go over everything before June 30th then. And we'll discuss, you know, you all discuss when the date will be for that.
Yep.
We'll add that to another agenda so you guys can, so that our board can pick the date that we're coming to do that.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. All right. So moving on to our next item here. So Board of Education report, that's done. Public comment session, general items not included in the agenda, nothing for that. We are on to committee of the whole items and information for the roundtable, starting with Glenn.
I got nothing.
Nicole?
I just want to thank all the faculty, staff, administrators, and all the parents for pulling together with helping all our students move forward.
Jay. Jay, do you have anything?
Oh, I'm sorry, you broke up anyway. Yeah, just once again, I want to say thanks for the amazing work everyone's put in thus far. Hope everyone's healthy and stay safe.
Great. Jude, do you have anything for the roundtable?
Just to stay healthy.
Thank you. And moving on, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Graham said and thank all our SRPs, our faculty, staff, our technology department for configuring all of those Chromebooks and assisting with this meeting, and just everyone that has stepped up, Jude for helping with delivering the lunches, and all of our SRPs who have been working to make sure that our students are receiving their free and reduced lunch, and our clerks who are working, and everyone that has stepped up to help out. And thank you, Dr. Graham, for communicating with the community and keeping everyone informed, and making sure that our students and teachers have able to still work during this closure. That's it. Sue.
Just ditto to everyone's thanks for what everybody's doing during this difficult time, and everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and please do your best to stay apart. The sooner we stay further apart, the sooner we'll be able to come together. So if everybody can continue to stay safe and stay healthy and keep their distance, it would certainly help, especially show to many of our first responders and our health employees out there that are going in and fighting to save lives and to make people better. They're out there risking their lives so that we can have our own. So if you can remember as you're heading out the door, is it important? And just be aware of where you're heading and what you're doing. so that we can all stay safe and come together sooner. That's it.
Thank you. Joy?
I'm all set.
Robin?
I'm pretty much the same as Sue. As soon as we do what we're supposed to be doing, the sooner this will all be over. And want to say thank you to everyone. I know Dr. Graham had a lot of names that he was throwing out there, and we appreciate everything that you're doing. And I know there's some people's names that didn't pop up there. I know there's people out there that are doing stuff that didn't get recognized, and just want to give you a big shout out and say thanks.
Cheryl?
Yes, I would just like to thank Grand Island as a whole, all of us working as a team, starting with Brian to the Board of Education, to food service, to the teachers, the SRPs. Everybody has been working as a team, and it's just goes to show just how wonderful Grand Island is as a community and as a district. So thank you to everybody.
Thanks. Karen?
Other than wishing everybody healthy and safe continuance, I'm good, thank you.
Ruby?
I want to give a shout out to technology, who is making sure that people are still getting their pay information. So we have now
there you go.
to electronic distribution for pay stubs. We have a couple of checks that have to get printed. Just there behind the scenes very quickly, as we had to do that within less than a week, getting that up and running. So I want to say thank you to them. And it is nice to see everyone here. Everyone stay safe and in the house if you're able to, and have a great Easter.
Thank you. Back to Dr. Graham.
Thank you very much. So there was a lot of people that we thanked. Mark Gorton is working remotely to make sure that this recording is made available to the public after. Also, Mark and the entire instructional technology team worked to make sure that Google Hangouts would work for us today. They practiced it. They taught us how to do it. So big shout out to them. And there's also a link, on our website that people could click today to watch this live. So they did a lot of work behind the scenes, and I think this is probably the platform that we'll continue using. So thank you to all of them. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Just a couple of dates. April 24th, 2020 is a Tuesday. That's our Board of Education meeting and budget adoption, and Erie One BOCES budget vote and election. So if I could have a motion to adjourn this regular board meeting, please.
I'll motion.
A second.
Who seconded?
Robin.
Robin. Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion carried 7-0 with an adjournment time of 8:49 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.